Today I'm going to show you how to make these cute little baubles in knitting. Now there are many different ways to make baubles, and this happens to be my favorite. And in order to work these, you have to have a slightly thicker yarn. It kind of has to be at least worsted weight or thicker, like a chunky weight or a bulky weight. It doesn't work, this bauble in particular doesn't work great with super thin yarn. So let's get started here. I'm just going to work my edge stitches here, and I'm a continental knitter, but you can make these baubles in any knitting style. And I just get to the point where I want to make my next bauble. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit into this next stitch 5 times. I'm going to knit into the back and pull out a nice big loop, not a tight crammed loop, but a nice open loop, and then into the front of the stitch. That's 2. 3 into the back of the stitch. 4 now into the front of the stitch. And 1 more, this last one can be a little tight. 5. So I've knit into that stitch 5 times, and then I'm going to, in reverse order, drop all these 4 loops over the first one, the last stitch that I worked. So I'm just gonna, that's 1, and then pull this one over, 2, 3, and 4. And there I have a new bauble. And as I knit the next couple of stitches, I'm ready to do it again. I'm going to knit into this stitch 5 times. 1, oops, put that back on, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I just come in and I just drop those 4 stitches over the last one that I pulled up. 3 and 4. And that's how I make my baubles. Now, a couple of things about these little fun baubles is that as you're knitting them, sometimes they will disappear, and what happens is they just get pushed to the wrong side of your work, and they vanish. Like, they should look like this and then they look like that. That's nothing to worry about, because as you wear the bauble hat or the baubles on a sweater, they always will get pushed to the front of your work, and they'll always reappear just like that. That's actually why we never tie knots in our knitting when we join new strands of yarn, because the knots will always be pushed to the front of the work. And the last thing that I'd like to mention about the baubles, let me just finish this row, is that on one side of the bauble, you're going to have a slightly looser stitch. I'll show you what I mean. Because when you work 5 stitches into your knitted stitch, you're actually making that stitch a little looser, and you're gonna have kind of a big loose stitch right here. And the best way to take care of that is just to ease it out into the surrounding stitches. And what I do is I just take my knitting needle and just go ahead and pull on the stitches surrounding that loose stitch and just ease it away and make it look perfect. And you see there's a little gap right there. Again, you're going to have that loose stitch next to every bauble that you make, and you just go through and just ease the extra yarn right out until it looks perfect. And that, my friends, is how you work a bauble.